How would you like a 15% discount to my daily email, the stack of stuff, the show notes, discounts to the conference, all of that? All you need to do is text the word show to 33777. You'll get the annual subscription with a 15% discount to my daily email. You'll get the stack of stuff, the links to the show notes, discounts to the conference, and so much more. All you have to do is text the word show, SHOW, to 33777. Text show to 33777.
Welcome to the Eric Erickson Show podcast, Hour 1.
Y'all, literally, as I'm coming on today, welcome, it's Eric Erickson. As the show is starting, someone sends me a clip from yesterday of a parachutist in Australia who lands on target where he's supposed to land and immediately is set upon by kangaroos. Only in Australia. Welcome. It's Eric Erickson here across the United States and around the world online at ericerickson.com. You can call in 877-973-7425. Are we a banana republic? This investigation of Jerome Powell is striking a lot of people as third world kleptocracy nonsense, whether you like the Fed or not. And good Lord, the amount of people in my Twitter feed, in the Fed, audit the Fed. It doesn't matter. The Fed's sticking around whether you like it or not. Investigating the chairman because of cost overruns related to the Federal Reserve renovation. One, there was twice as much asbestos as they thought in the building. But two, the only building in Washington, D.C. that's ever come in on time and under budget was the Supreme Court building, the most expensive federal project ever in Washington, D.C. It came in on time and under budget. Every other single renovation has had massive cost overruns. To investigate the chairman, this is Bill Pulte, who came up with this idea. He's come up with every bad idea the president has implemented when it comes to fiscal policy in D.C. Bill Pulte is the one who decided they should investigate the Federal Reserve governor, what's her name? Investigate Letitia James, investigate all these other people. The president's cases keep getting thrown out of court, and Bill Pulte keeps trying again. It is rare to see a person bat 1,000 on bad ideas that get tossed in court, but Bill Pulte has managed to be the guy who comes up with a font of bad ideas that courts continue to throw out, and now it's to criminally investigate the chairman of the Federal Reserve. You should know that the markets aren't very happy here. They're starting to recover now on opening, but they were down with the news in the beginning. Tom Tillis has come out on the Finance Committee and said that he will refuse to move any nominees for the Fed, including a new chairman, until this issue is completely resolved, a potential prosecution of Jerome Powell. So the president is saying he wants to prosecute Jerome Powell. He's got the D.C. attorney, U.S. attorney, that would be, what's her name from Fox News, Judge Janine, who'll be prosecuting him. And Jerome Powell, who normally keeps his mouth shut, has had enough. This is the statement from Jerome Powell, the chairman of the Federal Reserve.
Good evening. On Friday, the Department of Justice served the Federal Reserve with grand jury subpoenas, threatening a criminal indictment related to my testimony before the Senate Banking Committee last June. That testimony concerned, in part, a multi-year project to renovate historic Federal Reserve office buildings. I have deep respect for the rule of law and for accountability in our democracy. No one, certainly not the chair of the Federal Reserve, is above the law. But this unprecedented action should be seen in the broader context of the administration's threats and ongoing pressure. This new threat is not about my testimony last June or about the renovation of the Federal Reserve buildings. It is not about Congress's oversight role. The Fed, through testimony and other public disclosures, made every effort to keep Congress informed about the renovation project. Those are pretexts. The threat of criminal charges is a consequence of the Federal Reserve setting interest rates based on our best assessment of what will serve the public, rather than following the preferences of the president. This is about whether the Fed will be able to continue to set interest rates based on evidence and economic conditions, or whether instead monetary policy will be directed by political pressure or intimidation. I have served at the Federal Reserve under 4 administrations, Republicans and Democrats alike. In every case, I have carried out my duties without political fear or favor, focused solely on our mandate of price stability and maximum employment. Public service sometimes requires standing firm in the face of threats. I will continue to do the job the Senate confirmed me to do, with integrity and a commitment to serving the American people. Thank you.
That's Jerome Powell. Now, what is all of this about? The president is unhappy with Jerome Powell. Now, keep in mind, it is the president who appointed Jerome Powell. Donald Trump appointed Jerome Powell. And we can argue about the handling of inflation, deflation, interest rates, all of that. But the president has been unable to persuade Powell to get the Federal Reserve Board to cut interest rates as fast as he wants. Now, you should know that Powell does not get fiat. Powell doesn't get to say cut rates. He's got a board of governors, and they have to agree. And some of those governors are explicitly political Democrats. Austin Goolsbee was a Barack Obama appointee. He's on the Federal Reserve Board. Trump has put some on as well. And Powell doesn't get to snap his finger and demand this. There are hardcore partisan Trump supporters who will, at this point, defend anything the president does, and that's fine. They're entitled to. There were Democrats who defended Joe Biden and swore to us that he was perfectly fine and there was nothing wrong with him. It's their right to do. It is your right to defend the president on this. What I'm here to tell you is that it's not just about you. This is about stopping Democrats from taking back Congress this year, and the polling is turning against Republicans. Even as people hate the Democrats, there is a strain of thinking that is regularly showing up in the polling among even some Republican-oriented voters that they are okay with the Democrats taking back Congress to restrain the powers of this president who seems out of control. You may not be there. I would prefer the Republicans keep Congress myself. But when you have that many people is showing up in polling, many of whom are not on the left, and they don't like the Democrats, but they don't feel like Republicans are restraining the president as much as they should. When the president's team comes out and says we're investigating criminally the chairman of the Federal Reserve after months of saber rattling, trying to do everything they can to put pressure on the Federal Reserve, it looks completely connected. And in fact, when you have Bill Pulte out there, we now know from the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, pointing the finger at him, saying he's the guy who decided they should do this after he pushed them on Letitia James and several others, it doesn't look honest. It looks political. It looks banana republicish. You may not like the Federal Reserve, but you know progressives don't like ICE. They want to get rid of ICE. You want to get rid of the Federal Reserve. Neither of them is being gotten rid of. And Americans don't like bullies, and that's part of the problem here. We're going to get back into Minnesota. I think the ICE shooting was a tragedy and unfortunate, but the officer made a call in self-defense and had the right to do so. I think that ICE has done a very good job in what it does. And I think progressive agitators are just looking for a fight, making the situation worse. But there are a lot of Americans out there, and it's not me, and it's not a lot of you, but I need to just explain to you this viewpoint so you at least understand what's happening out there. There are a lot of Americans who, they're fine with ICE doing deportations. But they think this president is a bully, and all the actions within the administration are interpreted through that lens now, including ICE. That ICE is serving as a proxy for the president bullying. They are, and in fact have rounded up people who are American citizens. At least the Border Patrol has. I don't know that ICE per se has, but the Border Patrol certainly has. We've now got lawsuits from some of the people who were illegally detained. If you're an American citizen, they can't detain you for deportation. They can detain you if you're disrupting them, but they can't grab you and say, oh, you look like somebody needs to be deported. And there have been a couple instances of this. And all of this looks, one, like the president's team is roughshod over Americans' rights, and two, that it looks like bullying. Add Greenland to it and what the president is doing to Denmark. It looks like bullying. And so there are a lot of people who would otherwise say, yes, I should round up bad people and deport them. But in this situation, it looks like bullying. You add in Jerome Powell, it looks like bullying. You add in Greenland, it looks like bullying. And Americans don't like bullies. What do we all learn as kids? Bullies are going to keep bullying you until you punch them back. So there are people taking advantage of the sentiment who are stirring up violence in this country on the left, saying this is punching bullies. You got to punch the bullies, punch the Trump administration, and they're getting people like Renee Good killed. There are other Americans who will just quietly show up at the polls in November and say, we got to punch the bully. I'm going to vote Democrat. God forbid they do, but I'm afraid some of them are. The president, I don't think he's thinking about November. Or if anything, maybe the president thinks that getting the Democrats back in charge will help him. It'll make him more powerful in contrast to them. But a funny thing happened this weekend. So, you know, in Mississippi, the largest synagogue in the state has been burned down, and it's arson. And very curiously, they're not releasing yet the identity of the arsonist. They've arrested someone, but they're not releasing the person's identity. I'm very bothered by that. In New York, a group of Hamas supporters showed up in a Jewish neighborhood and started chanting pro-Hamas, anti-Jewish slogans. And Democrats came out in force, condemned the burning of the synagogue, and condemned Hamas going into the Jewish neighborhoods, including Mamdani, the mayor of New York, who refused to denounce the phrase globalize the Intifada a few months ago, is now denouncing the Hamas supporters going into the Jewish neighborhood. AOC is. The squad is. They've clearly gotten polling for the election that shows Americans want some normal people. And the Democrats are going to put on a show of being the normal people. So the Democrats are going to be the ones to condemn anti-Semitism, while Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens and now Megyn Kelly fester it. The Democrats are going to be the ones to condemn the synagogue burning in Mississippi, and they're going to blame the right. The Democrats are going to be the ones to blast Trump on bullying Denmark, an ally, and blast Trump for a trumped-up charge or investigation into Jerome Powell to bully the Federal Reserve. The Democrats are going to do that. And there are a lot of low-information voters who are going to show up in November who are going to be mesmerized by the look of normalcy the Democrats put on. And you and I know it's all an act. We all know they're crazy. But when you compare their act to what Donald Trump is doing, the normalcy of Trump is going to be insane. Y'all, the country can't afford to have Democrats take back the House, and that's probably where we're headed. And you know, this has spillover effects in states like Georgia that are increasingly a swing state. If Democrats get mobilized in November, they could take the governor's mansion in Georgia. They could keep John Ossoff in the United States Senate. The Trump crazy spillover effect alienates a lot of suburban middle-class voters Republicans need. And right now, when you ask independent voters who will decide the election, who are they leaning towards? They're leaning towards the Democrats slightly. But in close races, that matters. Bullying the president, or the president bullying the chairman of the Federal Reserve, Denmark, it's not going to go over well with voters. And I think you all know it. Even if some of you want to defend and make excuses on the Greenland thing, defend and make excuses on the Jerome Powell thing, it's not about you and where you are. It's about where the independent voters are and where these Republican voters are who don't like Trump but voted for him. Do they stay home? Do they show up and vote against the Democrats? What do they do? I don't know who in the White House is talking to the president, but they need to get him to cool off on this stuff. They need to get him I mean, he's talking about military engagement to take Greenland, which is kind of nuts. Let's all admit it. It's nuts. We got issues. I don't think one of the issues, though, is ICE per se. And I think the president and his team have a message to tell about ICE that we need to get into when we come back. Today is the beginning of my 15th year on radio. I never expected to not only do this job as long as I have, but it is now the longest job I've ever had, and I can't imagine doing otherwise. 16 years ago, a local radio show host got arrested in a drug raid in a crack house on a bad side of town in Macon, Georgia, and the local folks at WMAC, where I am back on the radio as of last Monday, they asked if I might fill in one morning. One morning turned into 3 mornings when they fired the guy, which turned into 3 months. I was paid with an expired gift certificate at Outback Steakhouse. True story. But while that was happening, the powers that be at WSB in Atlanta, Georgia, knew that Herman Cain wanted to run for president. They needed to fill his shoes at WSB. I had mentioned Rush. He and I were friends well before I was on radio. And today is his 75th birthday, or would be, here as I start this 15th year. Rush lied and said I was a radio pro. And when Rush Limbaugh tells you someone's a radio pro, you snap that person up, and they snapped me up, and I knew nothing about radio. In fact, Rush told me if I didn't take the job, he wouldn't speak to me ever again. So I took the job. And now am sadly blessed, I guess is the way to put it, since Rush's passing, to be in the 12 to 3 live spot nationwide. And I would never have been able to do what I'm doing but for his advice and mentorship. And today would be his 75th birthday as I start my 15th year in radio. What a wild ride it has been. Really has been a wild ride. You know, when I was a kid, I would listen to Paul Harvey, and my dad, it was the only time we had to be absolutely quiet at our house was when Paul Harvey was on, and Paul Harvey would advertise Renai tankless water heaters, forever hot water. I remember them, and when I grew up, I wanted one of those, and now I have one in my house. And it's phenomenal. And Paul Harvey was right. I never run out of hot water. My family does not run out of hot water. You won't run out of hot water. Not only that, so our power bill went down because we had electric water heaters. Our home did not have natural gas, and whoever built it, they put in electric water heaters. And we've got a propane tank, and the Renai tankless water heater runs off the propane tank, and we never run out of hot water. Never, ever run out of hot water. And it's phenomenal. My kids do not fight over shower time. And my daughter with her long hair, she was running out of, I mean, the way my kid would know to get out of the shower was when the water started getting cold with the old tanks. And now we're tankless and the water never runs out. The hot water doesn't. You can go to talkingtankless.com. That's the website Renai started for me, talkingtankless.com, and talk about getting rid of your tank and replacing it with a tankless water heater. They are affordable, made in the USA, and you get unlimited hot water, and they're glorious. TalkingTankless.com, brought to you by the people at Renai and their tankless water heaters made in the USA, right up the road from me, and they're fantastic. TalkingTankless.com. Hello, it's Eric Erickson here across the United States. The phone number is 877-973-7425. If you want to get all the stack of stuff, the show notes and the like, if you text Eric, E-R-I-C-K, to 33777, you can certainly do that as well. Now we got to get back into Minnesota. But we're going to go to Minnesota by way of Portland, Oregon, because there is some data out. Bill Malugin at Fox News has this. Remember, there was the shooting in Portland, Oregon, of the man and the woman who were tied to Trinidad, the gang, the Venezuelan gang. The Department of Justice has just charged the Venezuelan illegal alien shot by Border Patrol in Portland on Thursday with 18 U.S.C. 111, aggravated assault of a federal officer with a deadly weapon. They provided photos of the badly damaged Border Patrol vehicle they say he rammed several times during the target arrest. According to the DOJ, Luis Nino Monchada, allegedly affiliated with Trinidad, admitted to intentionally using a red pickup truck to ram the federal vehicle, said he knew they were immigration agents and said F-ICE, except not F, while having a tourniquet applied to his gunshot wounds by medics. DOJ says Manchada was ordered deported by an immigration judge in November 2024. According to the criminal complaint, the actual target of Border Patrol's operation was Manchada's female associate, Yorlines Bethzabet Zambrano Contreras, a Venezuelan illegal alien and suspected TDA associate who was caught and released at the Texas border by the Biden administration in September 2023. She was ordered to check in with an ICE officer after arrest, but never did, making her subject to immigration arrest. DOJ says she also is believed to be involved with the Trinidad prostitution ring and was connected to a July 2025 shooting in Washington County during a prostitution deal that went bad. Fox is being told Zambrano Contreras is also now in federal custody, being charged with illegal entry by an alien. Yes, crossing the border illegally is a federal crime, contrary to what you may have heard. Let's begin with the simple question here. Does the federal government have the right to deport illegal aliens? Unfortunately, a growing number of progressives say no. They have bought into critical race theory and the postmodern critique of the United States that we are an illegal nation, that we were formed to preserve slavery, we are inherently corrupt and racist and bad, we're colonizers, and we need to give back the land. And so many on the left, particularly white female progressive activists, the awfuls, the affluent white female urban liberals, they believe that we have no authority to deport. Now, we actually do. And let me give you some data about the arrests in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area. According to the Department of Homeland Security, 2,000 arrests since Operation Metro Surge began December 1st. They're sending another 1,000 agents to help with the ICE and the Border Patrol. Now, there's some more data that you need to know about, and it is who they are deporting. They're actually deporting a whole lot of bad guys. If you text Eric, E-R-I-C-K, to 33777, you can get the show notes. And the very first link goes to Twitter. And you can tell Philip put the show notes together because he just uses the letter X. And it is the official policy of the Eric Erickson Show to refer to it as Twitter because X is a stupid name and it should have never been changed. And we now possibly have a job opening to help me do the show notes every day for daring to avoid the editorial policy and link to X. I had to look for the link and it was just one letter, hyperlinked. Can't even tell that there's a link. It's the very first paragraph. At the end of the first paragraph, you'll see a blue X in the show notes. And if you click on the blue X, it's not a blue X. It's a hyperlink to what should be called Twitter in the show notes, but I digress. Let me give you the list of individuals who have been deported by ICE. In just Minnesota, by the way. In just Minnesota. Sridorn Pavian is a Laotian illegal alien convicted of strong-arm sodomy of a boy and strong-arm sodomy of a girl with a deportation order since 2018. Tolvang is a Laotian illegal alien convicted of sexual assault and sodomy of a girl under age 13 and procuring of child for prostitution. He's had a deportation order pending since 2006. Chongvu is a Laotian illegal alien convicted of strong-arm rape of a 12-year-old girl and kidnapping a child with intent to sexually assault her, with a deportation order since 2004. Ji Vang is a Laotian illegal alien convicted of strong-arm rape, aggravated assault with a weapon, and strangulation, with a deportation order since 2012. Pao Chuazhong is a Laotian illegal alien convicted of rape and child fondling, has had a deportation order pending since 2003. Kulor is a Laotian illegal alien convicted of rape with a weapon, and sexual assault, with a deportation order since 1996. Hernan Cortez Valencia is a Mexican illegal alien convicted of sexual assault of a child and DUI, the deportation order pending since 2016. Abdurrashid Adosh Elmi, a Somalian illegal alien convicted of homicide. Gilberto Seguero Landaverde, a Salvadoran illegal alien convicted of 3 counts of homicide, with a deportation order pending since June of 2025. Gabriel Figueroa Gama, a Mexican illegal alien convicted of homicide, who was ordered deported in 2002. Golak Michael Rodgai, a Sudanese illegal alien convicted of homicide. Taylor, Laotian illegal alien convicted of 2 counts of homicide, deportation order pending since 2009. Mariana Siacano, an illegal alien from Sierra Leone, convicted of 2 counts of homicide, with a deportation order since 2022. Aldrin Guerrero Munoz, a Mexican illegal alien convicted of homicide, with a deportation order in 2015. Abdurrashid Muhammad Ahmed, a Somali illegal alien convicted of manslaughter, deportation order issued in 2022. Mongong Dul Mananag Deng, a Sudanese illegal alien convicted of attempt to commit homicide, weapons possession, and DUI. Ayler Gomez Lucas, a Guatemalan illegal alien convicted of neglect, homicide with a vehicle, and DUI. Deportation order 2022. Sui Hutu, a Burmese illegal alien convicted of negligent homicide. They've all been roaming the state of Minnesota. These are the people that the Minnesota politicians like Tim Walz and Jacob Frey have said are their neighbors. Multiple people convicted of rape, murder, charged with and pending prosecution for homicide. These are the people they said were their neighbors. Y'all, I believe ICE has a right to deport, and I believe ICE should deport. Mark Warner is posited as one of the reasonable Democrats. He was on CNBC this morning, and Joe Kernan pushed him on this issue. Listen to this.
Now, I know Trump has deported or sent back 350, 400,000 people. Barack Obama, your guy, as you called Trump, my guy, it was 5 million. It was 5 million over 8 years. Now we're at 350,000. What changed with Democrats on that? I know Biden let in 12 million. Is it about votes? Why didn't these people, why isn't it a crime to be here? Not that they haven't committed a crime.
The border being as open as it was under Biden was one of the reasons Trump got elected. But the idea...
So you're glad it's closed now?
Do I think we ought to not have a fully open border? Absolutely. I've said that all along.
So with the 12 million that came in, what do we do?
The question I have for you is closing the border versus sending out ICE agents across the country to randomly pick up people based on quotas that have committed no crime.
How did Obama deport 5 million?
At the border.
I think it was a lot of that was done at the border.
They were sent back.
And the truth is, I don't think the American people signed up for this, where you see people who are working. There ought to be a path towards legality. We've worked on that. We've screwed that up, immigration reform, for years, both sides. But the idea that we're going to send in these ICE agents, by the way, Joe, do you realize ICE used to take 5 to 6 months to get trained? They've now lowered the training period to 47 days. Why 47 days? Because Donald Trump's the 47th president. Tell me that's a rational approach.
I'm not obviously I'm not going to take that bait and say it's a rational approach, but
Joe, you can't pick your facts.
Notice how he says amnesty. That's what the Democrats want. They want these people as their voters. That's why they don't want them deported. They've got them here in their cities in blue states to preserve their census numbers for the Electoral College and Congress, and they want to give them amnesty so they can become American citizens and vote. And Mark Warner just gave away the game there. And who are these people? Again, from the show notes, we've got the list. We've got Laotians accused of sodomy. Laotians accused of rape. Mexican illegal aliens accused of assault of children, DUIs, homicide. Somalis accused of homicide and fraud. Sudanese illegal immigrants convicted of homicide. These are the people the Democrats are upset ICE is deporting. They've been stymieing their efforts to get these people out of jail even. They don't want to cooperate with them. They're upset that ICE and the FBI will now not cooperate with state investigators in Minnesota over the shooting of Renee Good. They won't cooperate with ICE in getting rid of these people. ICE had to go in with 2,000 agents to find and remove murderers, rapists, child pornographers. ICE had to do that with white progressive women stymieing their efforts. There's new video out of Renee Good. Not only was she blocking the traffic so ICE could not do their job, she was wailing on her horn, beating on her horn, and dancing to the noise for a very long time. The video I saw lasted for 3 minutes, and the whole time she's blaring on her horn, hanging, bop, 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 and dancing with it. She was actively obstructing ICE. We were told she was just dropping her child off for school. No, she had been stalking ICE all day, interfering with their investigation. We were told she was nice to ICE. She was harassing ICE. She belonged to the Minnesota ICE Watch. That group is operating as a domestic terror organization. I've got screenshots in my morning piece. Let me read you one. They call it a de-arrest. You know what a de-arrest is? That's when one of these Minnesota ICE Watch people assaults a federal agent to help the child rapist illegal alien escape. And this is what they write underneath the caption on how to do it. Each de-arrest is a shaking off, which is to say each one is a micro-intifada, which can spread and inspire others until we finally shake off this noxious ruling order altogether. That's from Minnesota ICE Watch. Pulling and pushing an officer off of an arrestee and or breaking their grip of an arrestee, often combined with the first tactic. This tactic is probably the most risky as it requires physical contact with an officer and could lead to assault charges. They're encouraging people to assault ICE officers to help illegal aliens, the rapists, the child pornographers, the murderers, the DUI arrested illegal aliens to help them escape. The progressive white, when we've talked a lot about the radicalization of young men in this country, we haven't spent enough time talking about the radicalization of these white women with the barista haircuts. ICE is trying to make the country safer. They're doing their job. But a lot of people just view it in the same vein as the president bullying people. And I understand there are people I know who support deportations, but they think that Trump is being needlessly provocative. At some point, you just got to let ICE do their job. You are more likely. This is a fact. You may not like this fact, but this is a true fact. You are more likely to be harmed in this country by an illegal alien than by an ICE agent. Overwhelmingly, the ICE agents are deporting bad people from this country, not just illegal aliens, but criminal illegal aliens and gangbangers. And if you put yourself between them and the illegal alien, you might get harmed in the process of obstructing ICE. It's true, but on a day-to-day basis, you are more likely to be harmed by one of these illegal aliens ICE is pursuing than by ICE itself. And yet, you're making ICE out to be the bad guy because you've been broken by your hatred of Donald Trump. I understand that you don't care for the guy. I don't care for the guy. but you are allowing your hatred of Donald Trump to poison you to lawful activity by federal law enforcement and federal deportation officers who are getting rid of rapists and child pornographers and murderers and gangbangers and drug dealers, and you think ICE is bad and not the criminal illegal aliens. I can't help your broken soul, but I can tell you ICE is making the country safer, not more violent. It's the people needlessly interfering with ICE who are provoking the situation, and they're doing it willfully and intentionally, hoping to provoke a response from ICE that they can then use on television to pull at your heartstrings to make you think no one should be deported. This hour of the program brought to you by Van Allen Golf. It's great to have a golf advertiser on the program, and I love them. They are makers of fine golf equipment, particularly their Van Allen putter is incredible. I have it in my golf bag. I actively use it. I sought to them as an advertiser because, one, they're good people, and I want to help this company grow, and also the putter is incredible. VanAllenGolf.com. If you text golf to 33777, I'll send you the link to the website. Just go to Van Allen, ALLEN, VanAllenGolf.com. Now, when we come back, we got to get into what's happening in Iran and Mississippi as well. But first, I got to tell you, Vision Computer would love to build you new computers. They can upgrade your existing computers, and they can be your managed IT service. And I want to talk specifically about managed IT for individuals. Now, for companies, they can save you money, and your employees actually talk to real people, not to AI chatbots. You get a phone number, call them 15 seconds or less, but they do this for individuals as well. So if you've got a senior citizen relative who needs computer help and you just can't be the IT guy, or your kid's going off to college, or you're got a kid in the gig economy, or you are and you need help, if you call Vision Computers at 404-COMPUTE, you can sign up for their managed IT service just for your computer or for your whole office if you need it. And you'll get the special phone number where day or night someone's there to answer the phone, a real human being, faster than a Google search to help you. They can even remote in. They can do printer support, all these things. VisionComputer.com or 404-COMPUTE. We have it in my house with my son's gaming PC. I have not had to deal with his computer since we got it. 404-COMPUTE or VisionComputers.com. They get on the phone with you. They help you. VisionComputers.com, 404-COMPUTE. Call them today.